My fellow commanders, Chapter 47 and Chapter 48 arrived this past week, and with them, we got some major plot developments. Several characters got reunited, some characters came back from the dead, and there was a lot of setup for future events and chapters. And unfortunately for me, there was also a bit of frustration and disappointment. So let's start with Chapter 47. Chapter 47 was really a setup for Chapter 48. It's been a while since a lot of these characters met face to face, which can be easy to forget. I don't know if we needed an entire chapter dedicated to reuniting everyone and setting the scene, but there were some good moments here. The commander being put on the spot by everyone when the origin of Only One was revealed was pretty hilarious. The censored parts were extremely unexpected and got some laughs out of me. And Johann being entirely unfazed by the revelation and only scrutinizing the commander when he denies that the child is his was just so perfect. And aside from that, it just feels really surreal to have all of these major characters in one room together. Marian's development in these chapters is one of the more obvious revelations, I'd say. There was a teaser in previous chapters where Only One put her hand on her chest and felt 2 heartbeats after seeing Marian. What I was surprised about was how Only One was so sassy. She was calling us a bunch of weaklings, but we definitely showed her, didn't we guys? And that happened to be enough to convince Only One that she could trust Marian with her queen gene. And that was our teaser for Marian 2.0 coming soon. Now, during their conversations, the topic of the queen working with the 7 arbiters was brought up extremely briefly. In fact, it was so brief, and Only One basically told us that we know nothing. And you know what? She's absolutely right. We know absolutely nothing about the 7 arbiters. But along with Marian, we got a couple more returning characters. Scarlet coming back exactly how she did with Rose's body was on my bingo card. I made a short video a few months ago talking about some 4th anniversary predictions, and with the Wings of Victory and Scarlet coming back, at least half of them have come true so far. But anyways, Scarlet and Rapunzel, they're back. Rapunzel looks incredible. I love everything about her design, and it really just feels like a modernization of Rapunzel. And she even has a giant vibrator as a weapon. Like, could that be any more on brand? The battle of wits between Rapunzel and Red Shoes was a bit of a nail-biter. Rapunzel has always felt like the weakest of Goddess Squad, in my opinion, but every pilgrimage she took to amass souls of the dead actually paid off for her. They were literally and figuratively her shield against Red Shoes' corruption. It was some satisfying karmic justice when Rapunzel turned the tables on Red Shoes and overwhelmed her personality data and basically deleted her from existence. It is a bit of a hollow victory because Mir still exists and she's basically the same person as Red Shoes. However, the real victory here was that Rapunzel gained the information that she needed to hopefully cure corruption. Now let's talk about Scarlet. I have a lot to say about Scarlet's design. In short, I don't like it, but allow me to expand on that. It feels out of place. It's over-designed, it's bulky, and it's just a massive departure from her original design, which is a look that I absolutely adore. Scarlet's purple and white outfit is just, it's iconic. It's so iconic. Scarlet's new outfit looks like a very traditional samurai armor, and it looks really good, but it's just not what I envisioned Scarlet as. What makes Rapunzel's design so great is that it feels like a variation of her original look, whereas Scarlet went from the drunk wandering swordsman to samurai warlord. The story art during Scarlet's scenes looked really good, but the actual sprite, I just wasn't feeling it. Scarlet and Rose got the good ending by being able to fight side by side one last time, and Rose finally got to do something truly good for her sister, in addition to having the chance to say goodbye while wishing her a happy life. It was a very touching moment. And now, with their mostly brand new bodies, Rapunzel and Scarlet made quite the entrance. They bullied both Altruia and Ecovista for an entire scene. With how hard they were crushing the two heretics, I at least expected one of them to die or suffer a greater defeat than they actually did. It really felt like the entire point of the scene was to leave us all on an extremely high note, just to brutally crush us when Dorothy gets corrupted in the next scene. Now I have to say, Dorothy's story is just so frustrating to me. It feels like she's meant to be the main character, but there's writers in the group that only want to make her suffer. Struggles build interest and add complexity to characters, but Dorothy's entire existence is a struggle, which never really leaves time for growth. She's struggled with trauma, world-shattering lies, and all the pre-existing prejudice that humanity has towards NIKKEs. And after making so many self-destructive choices, it's satisfying to see a beloved character overcome a massive obstacle or finally steer themselves back on the right path after being lost for so long. We finally got that moment with Dorothy, but unfortunately, it was literally just a moment. There's a fine line to tread between interest and frustration with character arcs. In a story like NIKKE's, we don't expect positive streaks to last very long, but let's just say that they could. If there's no conflict, then there's no interest. The same thing goes for the other end of the spectrum. If there's never any positivity or resolution, then there's no interest as well. It's a constant battle of victories and defeats, whether it be literal or metaphorical. That's what makes stories engaging. Dorothy's character arc has been planted in the negative part of the spectrum for so long that there are plenty of people that just don't even care about Dorothy anymore, or even like her. There's potential for Dorothy, and we've seen hints of it all along. But if nothing ever comes of it, then what's the point? You're bored of Dorothy, or you dislike Dorothy, or you're sitting on the sideline patiently waiting for Dorothy's redemption. People in the third camp, like me, were eating really good for a few months. After being on her side for so long, we finally got the satisfaction of getting some real, positive character development. A victory to hopefully balance out the nearly 4 years of defeats for her. And to make the circumstances of her corruption even worse, I had to watch my number 1 stab and corrupt my number 2. I'll be honest, seeing a WMD filled with clones of my waifu was not on my bingo card at all. Nayuta was reduced to weaponized cancer in this set of story chapters. I lost hope of her being saved once I was about halfway through chapter 48, and she hadn't even shown up yet. And honestly, I wish it had just stayed that way. Corruption turned Nayuta into an evil puppet, which is just the most frustrating state you can see any character in. And now, before we have any resolution to her corruption, they throw Dorothy under the bus too. It was honestly just a buzzkill for me. I'm finding this arc for Dorothy to already be quite exhausting. But there is some light at the end of the tunnel. With Rapunzel's revelation about corruption and Anderson's promise to save her, I really hope we're nearing the end of this whole corruption as an overpowered weapon available to Mir and the Raptures. Okay, so that was a lot. All this has been set up, so where do we go from here? Well, the Queen has turned the entire space lift into a giant spire of dark matter that resembles the Goddess of Victory statue. It's mobile, and it's heading right for the Ark. The 4th anniversary event is 100% going to be the battle of all battles. I expect an extremely hard-fought victory against the Queen, and I also wouldn't be surprised if the Queen is killed off at the end of it or very soon after. Humanity as a whole has come together to survive underground after facing extinction. With the Ark rapidly running out of energy and being forced to the surface, this all points to the 3rd Reclamation War being a last-ditch effort of survival. Now, I don't expect humanity to be wiped out and lose this battle, I mean, it would certainly make for an interesting twist, but what happens when humanity wins? Well, humanity never stays united for long. With the teaser about NIKKE being on the surface, and Siren hinting that Hansel and Gretel are no longer on humanity's side, then we have some serious potential for another opposing faction. It could be other humans, or it could be something else, or maybe it could be both. The number of raptures still on the surface is most likely to be innumerable, so I doubt they'll ever truly be wiped out, even if the queen happens to be killed. And we also have to wonder what Marian will do with the raptures once she is queen. But regardless, there's a lot of possibilities for the future. The events that I think are likely to happen is a victory against the queen and some event to bring Dorothy back from her corrupted state, so that we get a fully upgraded goddess squad. Overall, I thought the 2 new chapters were okay. It was all just set up for what's coming next, and hopefully what comes next is something that really delivers. Anyways guys, please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!